Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over all the bottles that I got in February of 2026. If you watched the video from January, you saw that I got quite a few bottles. Fortunately, February was just a little bit less, but still some really good bottles. So let's get started. So what we're going to start off with is Barrel King, and what we got from Barrel King is from the Fantasy Collection. This is batch number 122. This King Takes the Cake, a blend by Kane and Castile of Whiskyer. If you're not a member of Whiskyer's channel or subscribe to his channel, you really should. He's got some great content, and he's just an all-around great guy. The bottle's got his picture on it. It's coming in at 122.6 proof. It's a rye, and I'm not a big rye guy, but this thing is just like a king cake. If you're not from Louisiana or you're not familiar with king cake, it's just basically a gigantic cinnamon roll, and that's what you get on this thing. Lots of dough, icing, cinnamon, sugar, everything that you would want in a cinnamon roll. And it comes through in this. Now, if you do get this, you do have to let it open up for 10 or 15 minutes in the glass for it really to start catching that aroma, and then once you get that, it just transfers to the palate. This thing is amazing. I've got 4 bottles of this thing, and I'm glad I got all 4 of them now. So we're already a little over half through the first bottle already. So the wife loves it. We've shared it with some friends. They really enjoy it. This bottle is worth it. It is available to the public through Barrel King. Now it is $160, and I think it's like $20 to ship up to 6 bottles. The other thing with Barrel King is they only ship once a month, and it's usually like the 3rd week of the month. So if you order this thing at the beginning of the month, you're going to be waiting 2 or 3 weeks before they ship it. And if they just shipped for this month, you're almost going to wait an entire month before you get the bottle. So just be prepared if that's what you go and do. Next up, from my bourbon hunt video that I did at Maui Mart. When I went to Maui Mart the first time, I bought a couple of bottles actually. I bought them, and then I went back, I did the hunt video, and I didn't do really a closeout because I had already bought the bottles the time I went in there before basically and scouted the store, and then decided to go back to see if they would let me hunt a video, or do a hunt video I should say. This is the Larrikin Single Barrel. This is kind of new to Arizona. I think they're distributing in 12 or 13 states, so it may not be available where you're at. This one is it's like a state barrel distiller select bottle, but it's coming in at 127.6 proof, 8 years old, and this thing is fantastic. I really, really enjoy it. I bought actually one, tried it, brought it home. Went back when I did the hunt video, I think, and bought the second one when I went there to do the hunt. So I bought one the first time I went, then I went back and bought one the second time when I actually went back to do the video, like I said. $109.99 is what I paid for this one. I think that's roughly about what the MSRP is on them. Larrikin, formerly known as Lawrenceburg Bourbon Company, switched their name in 2024. It's veteran owned, which I can appreciate as a veteran, by Greg Keeley, who actually served in the Royal Australian Navy and the U.S. Navy and served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Next up, let's see. Got another Stag 25D. I'm not the biggest Stag Junior. I still call it Stag Junior. I'm not the biggest Stag fan, but every once in a while I pick them up and I'll use them to trade, or I have buddies in other states that just cannot get this bottle. If you live in Louisiana, you know what I'm talking about. Florida, places like that. These are really hard to get. And of course, I have bourbon friends that are in these other states, and then we kind of work deals out to where they can get stuff that I can't get and vice versa. Just this whole craziness with the distribution and how it works, or lack thereof as it can be sometimes. We're starting to see this quite a bit in Arizona. E.H. Taylor Small Batch and Eagle Rare are almost just sitting on the shelves at this point. Eagle Rare not as much, but E.H. Taylor Small Batch, you walk in any store and it's just sitting there. So probably since October, I've been able to get my hands on roughly a dozen of these at MSRP. So they just haven't been that hard to get. So this one though, this is a fill-in bottle. I've already passed it on to somebody else in the Whiskey or Patreon who was in Louisiana and is struggling to get the bottle. So that's just there as a placeholder basically. Next up, got the Old Fitz 7-year. This is the fall edition. I did a video on this earlier when I got it, when I compared it between the spring and the fall. I got this for $54.99 at Safeway. This is, I hadn't seen too many of the fall ones, but I just got it just because I wanted to just compare them, and I was just going to basically use it as content. I really couldn't tell the difference between the spring or the fall. They're both great pours, as long as you accept them for what they are and don't try to pretend that they're this bottle up here, you know, trying to pretend that it's a decanter bottle. Just take it for what it is. It's a $60 shelfer and move on and enjoy it. Speaking of Maui Mart, where I got the Larrikin, when I bought that first Larrikin, I also picked up a Eagle Rare store pick while I was there. He still had about 6 or 7 cases when I went back. He's charging like $50 for them for a store pick, so who's going to complain about $50 for an Eagle Rare store pick? It's good. I mean, I don't know that it's head and shoulder above like just a regular old Eagle Rare that you can pull off the shelf, but at the point that I am in my bourbon journey now, I'm always looking for store picks and other things, just something that's just a little step above just the ordinary everyday shelfers. And this one, it hits the mark. It's just a little bit better. Next up, got another Willet small batch, the 4-year purple top. For those of us who can't afford a real purple top, we got this one at $69.99. I think at Total Wine I got it. The first one I got was a 125 proofer, and this one's like a 126.6. And yeah, I just got it as a backup because I really did enjoy the first one I had, and I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and grab another one with a different proof point that's a little bit different and see if there is any difference. I haven't compared them because obviously I haven't opened it yet, but that might be a review for later. Also at Total Wine, I was able to go in on, I usually show up there every Friday morning when they open because that's when the Total Wine closest to me typically gets their deliveries. And I was able to get a Weller Antique 107 for $69.99. Now what I'll tell you about that is strange is I have not been able to get, I've been doing bourbon since 2018, 2019. This is the first Antique 107 that I've scored in Arizona at MSRP. In fact, you hardly even see Antique 107 here, so it just doesn't really get out here. I mean, I guess it all just goes to Ohio, the best I can tell. Because all the bottles that I've got, I made trades over the years, and the guy told me he was getting them all from Ohio. So, and we had some friends of ours who went to Ohio, and they got a bunch of them too. So, apparently, all Antique 107 runs through Ohio. Next up, compliments of my buddy Wesley Martin in South Louisiana. We made a trade, and I can't even remember what bottle I traded with him for now. He picked me up this Maker's Mark from down in Homa at Canada's, the Maker's Way. They like to use the little candy bar, looks like Milky Way. A couple of years ago, I got one from them called the Three Maker Tears. I had a Three Musketeer bar on the back of it, and it's a really good pour. I'm probably down to a bottle and a half of that. So when he said they had this one, I figured it was going to be just as good as the other one. So we worked out a trade, and I traded him like a $80 or $85 bottle. So anyway, if you're just curious about what they ran price-wise. Next up, made another trade with a fellow Patreon member in the Whiskier group, Queasy. He sent me a sample of this bottle, and I really wanted one. It's not available here in Arizona yet, so I knew he had a backup, but I thought maybe he had already got into that. So I was like, well, I really don't have an option to get one. And then we were on Al Gordon's live, I think it was. If you're not following Gordon's Pub, you should be. Another fellow Patreon from the Whiskey group who has his own channel and has some great content. And I might as well go ahead and mention Joe Unfiltered as well. Follow him if you get the opportunity. But anyway, we were talking and he was talking about needing some Antique 107. Well, I had a few extra Antique 107s and he had a bottle I wanted, and that was the Eagle Rare 12. So we made a trade. I traded 2 Antique 107s for this Eagle Rare 12, and I don't regret it for a minute. I got this bottle here, and after even having had the sample, it was even better. Maybe it just tasted better because it was mine. But I had a friend come over and he tried it and he said the same thing. It is really, really good. Most of the reviews you're going to see, I feel like say it's not really that much better than the Eagle Rare 10, but I think it is. The 2 extra years and the 5 extra proof points just give everything just a little bit more depth, a little bit more oak. The dark notes are just there still with the fruit and all that, and it still just comes through really, really well. It's a very well balanced pour. Not that the 10's not a great pour, but this is just a notch above it. Now, retail on this thing is $50. Obviously, they're hard to find for that. If you didn't have one and you really wanted one, I don't think paying $100 is egregious to pay that if you really want one. I would pay it, and I think I would even pay it for a backup at this point because I'd really like to drink some more of this, but it gets harder to do that when you know you don't have one behind it. So don't pay more than $100 for this thing because I think if you do, you'll have a little bit of buyer's remorse if you do that. Now, I have multiples, I was just saying. I bought 4 of the King Cake bottles and 2 of the Larrikin bottles. And everything else were just one-offs. So I think I bought, all in all, I did 14 bottles this month. And the final bottle that I have is I made another trade. And the story behind that trade was I traded a bottle that I have had since the summer of 2010 from when I lived in Germany. A friend of mine came to visit with his family. We took them all around, showed them around. Well, the base that I was stationed at had a Canadian and a British detachment on base, and they sold basically duty-free liquor out of them. So if you wanted scotch or whatever else, you went to the Brit store. If you wanted Canadian stuff, you went to the Canadian store. But they both sold cigarettes. They both sold, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, things of that nature. They both kind of sold those. And they were cheaper than the liquor store on base, so that's kind of where almost everybody went to get their alcohol. So my buddy was there, and we went to the Canadian store because we were going to get something, and we went there, and he saw these Crown XR Reds in the box from the Waterloo Distillery. I didn't know anything about them, and I don't think he really did either. He bought 2 of them, and based on the exchange rate, I think he paid about $92, if I remember right, for them. And he gifted me one of them and took one of them home with him. Well, the story behind his is when he left Alaska to come back to Louisiana, he cracked his out at his going away party with a little kegger, and it basically got drank. He says he thinks he drank 1 pour of it, but he can't even remember if it was even any good. So I was telling him how the prices of those had skyrocketed beyond anything we could have ever imagined. But I still had mine sitting up in the cabinet waiting for a special occasion to open it, and it just never came. So price-wise, it kind of fell in line with this bottle that I made a trade for, and this bottle that I got I would much rather have. And that bottle is another 2025 George T. Stagg. So I was able to trade straight up for that bottle to get this one. So I'd much rather have that bottle than to have the 80 proof Canadian whiskey. So my dog made another appearance. As I said in the previous video, he's probably going to do that every once in a while. So this really completes my haul. Now, I know I mentioned a lot of trading and all that, so if you're not using apps like Only Drams or you're not keyed in with other whiskey groups, you really should be, because this is where you're going to get in touch with some great people. They're going to share samples between you, maybe make trades. You can see over here, I've got all these white labels over here. I got a bunch of samples over here that I still haven't even made it all the way through. But yeah, this the constant change in samples and swapping bottles really makes this a much more enjoyable hobby when you're sharing it with others and enjoying the social aspect of it. So get plugged in with some people in your local area and enjoy the social aspect of it. The Only Drams just is a great app because it allows you to see what they've got, you can see what they got, and then you guys can compare. And you know, it's easier than saying, hey, tell me what you got, especially when you have, like, I don't know, over 300 bottles like I do. So, and there's plenty of us that are in that same position. There's no way you can possibly run down the list of everything of what you have. But again, upcoming content, I'm headed to Kentucky next week, so there's going to be some distillery, maybe a few little hunt videos coming in there, so look for that. And if this kind of content is what you're interested in, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. There's more coming. So this concludes my February haul. I'm sure there'll be a March haul and there'll be some other videos coming. So like I said, like and subscribe. And until next time, cheers.